Hi, I'm Scott McClymonds from Nehemiah Worldwide, and today we're going to talk about a very important topic called Commit to Communicate, a Guide for Organizational Health. And to me, this is one of the most important topics, but yet a topic that most businesses miss. They just totally omit it, and that's because they're focused on marketing and sales and operations and customer service. Yet they forget that they're in the people development business. And so I say, you can be a great marketer, you can be a great salesperson, you can have the most awesome products in the world. But if you don't build a healthy organization through communication, all those things eventually won't matter because your profits will just be short term. You'll eventually be a crummy or an average place to work, and that's not what we want. In my experience, I've managed strategic marketing divisions in big companies, and I've also owned my own small business. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, the most important thing is getting everybody on the same page, building a healthy company, and the way you do that is learning to communicate with each other. So let me just ask you a few questions. Give you a few examples. Here's the first one. You get asked by your manager to do an assignment. And so you complete the assignment, and your manager either says, that's not quite what I wanted, or, oh, yeah, we don't need that anymore. That's no longer a priority. Well, that's communication there. Your manager didn't communicate with you. Somehow, communication didn't occur exactly in the way how you should do that project, how you should complete your assignment. Your manager wasn't clear or didn't specify how to get it done, or you didn't hear it the right way. And so both of you are frustrated now and maybe even have a little bit lower opinion of each other. That's just one little example of how we can improve, how communication can occur that can start making an organization unhealthy. Here's something else. You make a great suggestion to your boss. And you've thought about this for a couple weeks, and you think it's going to really improve your company, save you a lot of money, make you a lot of money. And so you've worked on it, and your boss basically just blows you off, just yawns at you, doesn't give you the time of day. And so now what? You're demoralized, and you say, well, that's the last time I'm ever going to give them any ideas. So that's also the kind of communication that can lead to an unhealthy organization. Now your boss can spend time with you and say, you know what, Scott, that is an awesome idea. It's not quite in our priority list right now, but if we can maybe look at it in our plan for next quarter, we might be able to fit it in. Would that be okay with you? It's a different kind of communication. Makes you feel a lot different. Example is you've got a disagreement with a coworker on how to get something done. And you feel strongly about it. She feels strongly about it. You can't agree. You have an argument. You end up with hurt feelings. And instead of mending that relationship, you go around for weeks or months and don't talk to each other. Even though your jobs are both, it's integral, even though it's important that both of you communicate with each other regularly. So the fourth example of communication and how it affects an organization, you've got a coworker who's really pleasant to be with. She's got a great personality. Everybody loves her. But yet her performance has started to decline. It seems like she doesn't care as much about her job anymore. Well, if you're her manager, what are you going to do? Lots of managers just blow that off. Because she's popular, you don't want to fire her, you don't want to get her upset. And so most managers just let it go. These are all examples of communication that should have been different. And if it would have been different, would have promoted a healthy company, a healthy workforce. And so that's what we're going to talk about today in terms of organizational health. So just as an overview, we're going to talk about what is organizational health? Why do we care? What is senior management's role in organizational health? And then what are the roles of different kinds of employees, middle managers, as well as non-management employees? We're going to talk about building good communication into your everyday work process. And we're also going to discuss why this is so hard for most companies, because most companies are unhealthy. Most companies are crummy places to work. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and we'll talk about leadership. And what we're going to learn is that leadership doesn't depend on your position. You don't have to be a manager. You don't have to be the executive director or a department head or any manager at all to be a leader. You can be a leader right from where you are. So, why talk about creating a healthy organization? Well, first of all, one thing that I really realized probably about 3/4 of the way through my banking career was that I wasn't really in the strategic marketing business. I was in the people development business, the people improvement business, as a manager, as a leader. And so if your company isn't somehow making people's lives better, improving your client's position, doing something for them, making them better off than they were, whether it's entertainment, whether it's food, whether it's knowledge, whatever it is, making you look better, whatever it is, if you're not making somebody better, improving them, then why should you exist? So that's an important thing for us to know. We're in the people development business. And if we're not a healthy company, how can we expect to make anybody else any better, any of our clients? So that leads right into healthy companies give better customer service. They create better experiences for their customers, and that leads to more customers, more profitability, better word of mouth, a growing company. We also want to generate high returns for our donors, if we're nonprofits, and for our investors, if we're a for-profit organization. So let's just say you're a nonprofit, and you're asking for me to give you money. Well, why would I want to give you money if I know that you're an organization that's unhealthy, you communicate poorly, you don't produce good results for your clients? Only healthy companies can do that, and that's who I want to give my money to. So, if you're a healthy company and I am seeing a high return on either my investor or donor dollars, why wouldn't I want to give you more? Why wouldn't I want to tell other people like me, investors or donors, about you and what a great place you are to invest or donate money to? Then there's the impact on each individual employee's health and well-being. Do you know that we spend, of our waking hours, we spend as much as 60% of our time, Monday through Friday, at work? It's a huge part of our lives. But yet, there's so much work-related stress and disease, even mental health issues relating to work and work-type depression. So if we create a healthy organization with good communication, we can strive to have healthier employees. And that makes a better company and a more effective company. And finally, the reason that we want to have a healthy organization is, look, everybody wants to play on a winning team. Nobody wants to play for a bad team, for a losing team. Everybody wants to have a chance to win the championship. And so, even though we're not in sports, we still all want to play for a winner. And winners are healthy organizations. So I've got 10 signs of a healthy organization that communicates effectively. And the first one is there's minimal politics, there's minimal confusion, and a lot of clarity on what the organization stands for and what its priorities and goals are. By politics, I mean we've got our own self-interests in mind, and we're constantly fighting back and forth to get what I want, instead of agreeing on what we should be doing as a company as a whole. So when we can't agree as leaders, we create confusion for the rest of our team, the rest of our employees, and our customers. And so we're going to talk about that. You'll hear me talk about that topic a little more. The second sign is high morale, high productivity, high innovation. People like coming to work. It's a big part of their lives, and they get excited about it. Obviously work is work, but we are made to work. We're made to be productive. We're made to share our gifts and our talents with each other. And work is the place that most of us do that. We're meant to be productive. We like to get things done, and we like to make things better. So that's the second sign. The third sign is, I've already said, we're in the people development business. So if you're a healthy organization and realize you're in that business, you're going to respect and appreciate and show that respect and appreciation to individual team members. They're going to feel respected and appreciated. 4, are we an organization that's unselfish? Do we have a high level of trust in each other? Are we humble? Am I willing to say, you know what, I think your idea is better than mine. Your idea, even though I might have worked on mine for a month, you're coming from a perspective that I've never thought about. We need to do your idea. Let's put mine on the shelf. Humility, unselfishness. 5, giving people the benefit of the doubt. When you come to me and maybe you haven't thought through something as well as you should have, and you communicate very excited to me, and I don't understand what you're saying, or I don't understand what you did, am I thinking, boy, Tom really doesn't have a clue. I mean, why do we even hire this guy? Or am I saying, you know, we hired Tom for a reason. He seems to be excited and agitated. Why don't I sit down with him and talk this through and find out what he really means? Giving people the benefit of the doubt. Also, are you able to keep your high-performing employees? If you can't keep high-performing employees, you'll eventually go out of business. And high-performing employees will only stay if you create a healthy atmosphere where they can thrive and do their best. Now, 8, let's talk about customers. If you've got high customer satisfaction and word-of-mouth referrals, then you know you've got a healthy organization. Because employees in an unhealthy organization aren't going to do a good job serving your customers. I've already mentioned that once. I'll keep mentioning it because it's paramount. And then, number 10, or rather number 9, are you putting the interests of your customers and your organization first? Or do the members of your team just think about themselves first, their own departments, and their own needs? Healthy teams, healthy organizations think about their customers first and the needs of the overall organization and how the organization can satisfy and create loyal customers. And finally, number 10, are you seeking and acting upon customer feedback and employee feedback? So healthy organizations, they don't assume that everything is going right with their customers or their employees. They reach out to them and get feedback. And whether the feedback is good or bad, they act on it. When my wife Cindy and I owned Busy Bees Christian Preschool, we used to survey our customers and our employees several times a year. We'd get that feedback and analyze it and go over it with the whole staff and figure out ways that we could make our company better, how we could create greater customer loyalty and satisfaction. So now, I have worked for companies that didn't do that. I've worked for companies that have launched an entire product line before without asking one customer what they thought of it. I was stunned by it. And I've worked for companies that have spent tens of thousands, even $100,000 on expensive customer research, very detailed, very useful customer research, and the company did nothing with it. So they sought their customer's opinion, and they got it, but they didn't act on it. I've worked with companies that have done the same with employees. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on employee research. What do you think of this, that, and the other thing? The employees give all their feedback, and management doesn't ever do anything. So what happens? The employees say, what's the point of this? I'm not answering these surveys anymore. No one ever does anything with them. So healthy organizations don't operate like that. They seek the information, they get it, they analyze it, and they act upon it to get better. And incidentally, toward the end, or rather at the end of your presentation, you're going to have an assessment tool that will enable you to kind of define how healthy your company is based on these 10 signs of a healthy organization. So we've kind of talked about some of the advantages of a healthy organization, but just to remind you, you're going to give better service to your customers, your employees are going to have greater job satisfaction, better use of their innate gifts and talents. And the company as a whole is going to be better able to take advantage of new opportunities. What if a new product line comes along? You need to develop a new product line, or you have an opportunity to build a new building, or to move into a bigger space, or to acquire a different company. A healthy organization is more able to rapidly address those issues and meet those issues, meet those challenges, those opportunities instead of a healthy organization. So, you're going to be better positioned to withstand crises. And crises occur in all organizations. They certainly did in our preschool. We were cruising along, doing some good business, and suddenly the state of Arkansas took away the funding to our low-income customers. That took about 40 to 50% of our revenue away overnight. That was a crisis. But fortunately, we were a healthy organization, and we were able to recover from that. Unhealthy organizations would have gone under. And finally, the advantage of a healthy organization is that you can grow faster and you can grow smarter than your competitors. Now, what's a sign of an unhealthy organization? I hope your wheels are spinning now about what's a healthy organization. Now we're going to talk about what's an unhealthy one, signs of an unhealthy organization. People put themselves, their departments, their careers ahead of the organization as a whole and ahead of everybody else. They've got priorities, departmental priorities are different from those of the company as a whole. So, while the organization as a whole, their priority might be to grow a certain product line. If you're an unhealthy organization, a department would be trying to grow a totally different product line. That wasn't the priority of the company overall. So you're working at cross purposes. You're not working in alignment with the company. And in an unhealthy organization, there are numerous priorities and numerous reasons, obstacles, why things can't get done, and excuses. So I worked for a company. They would have an annual planning workshop every year. It would get a couple hundred people coming to the workshop from around the company. And we would come up with 20 or 30 different priorities for the company. And it created great confusion. Nobody could figure out what to do. And there were always obstacles as to why things couldn't get done. Because I was assigned to priority 17, but you were working on priority 2. Well, I needed your help to get priority 17 done, but you couldn't help me because you're working on priority 2. So you were an obstacle to me and vice versa. And so we get confused, don't we? As an employee, I'm confused. Now I don't know what to do. You told me what's important to me. I need him to help me. He can't for another 18 months. So now what's my job now? I don't even know what you want me to do. That's how that works. So there's not much accountability. So people in an unhealthy organization, they can get away with a lot of stuff. You can have shoddy performance. It's okay. I can come in late. I can fudge on my assignments. No one's going to catch me. No one's even watching. So there's no accountability. But good employees, high-performing employees, aren't going to put up with that. Why would they? It's a waste of their time. They should just leave, and that's what they do. And of course, in an atmosphere like that, you don't have any new ideas. Why bother? There's not much customer satisfaction. How could there be? Employees don't care. And as a final note, there's no trust in the organization because I can't trust my senior management to give me clear direction. I can't count on my boss. I can't trust my boss or my coworkers to help me with assignments. I can't trust my colleagues that they're competent enough to do good quality work. I'm not playing for a winning team. I can't trust anybody. Those are the signs of an unhealthy organization. So, that's enough of that. That's enough of the negative stuff. How do we do this? How do we build a healthy organization? Well, I think there are really 5 steps. And first of all, it starts at the top. You've got to have a leadership team that comes together, that bonds together. Now, I'm not talking about doing ropes courses and all kinds of, falling back and catch me kinds of exercises. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about you and you and you and you. We all understand what each other does. We look at our company as a whole. We set goals for the company as a whole. And we as a management team work toward those goals together in each of the separate departments that we run. So first of all, I'm not the head of finance. Yes, I'm the head of finance. That's the department that I manage. But first and foremost, I'm thinking about the goals of the company that we all agreed to. And I understand what the head of marketing and the head of operations and the head of acquisitions, I understand what those critical issues are. I understand what the CEO believes is a priority. And so we're working together on 3 to 5 priority things. And when I go back as the CFO and run my department and manage my people, I've got the priorities of the organization in mind. This can only come if we bond together as an executive management team. And second, that executive management team has to get crystal clear. Our priorities are what's important now so that that management team can communicate it very clearly, unambiguously to the rest of the organization, not just once, but over and over and over again to make sure people stay lined up with what's important. And of course, if you're communicating something over and over and over again, it can't just be the same way. You've got to find creative ways to do it. So whether that's town hall meetings with the CEO there, whether it's being in each other's team meetings, whether it's through one-on-ones with employees, whether it's through videos, whatever it is, you got to find creative ways to communicate your message. And finally, it just can't be lip service, right? I mean, it just can't be stuff that you say and communicate. You've got to make sure once you're down at your department and once you're down at the individual employee level, you've got to find ways to build those priorities into your everyday work process. So it could be that you need an extra piece of technology to help you, or extra piece of some kind of equipment, whether it's a manufacturing machine, or whether it's some kind of a vehicle, or whatever it might be. You might need something like that at the individual work group level in order to execute those priorities. So we're going to talk about that. And of course, how many times have we worked in companies and we said that certain things are priorities and then we don't do anything about it? It happens in the banking world all the time, and it happens all over the place. At Busy Bees in our preschool, I used to meet with our director every single week. And we had a list of priorities, and we measured them every single week. How many leads have we gotten? Are we on budget? What's our enrollment? What's our payroll? And so I'm talking about really key performance indicators that you measure and assess every single week to make sure that you're executing those priorities. A key element of great communication in a healthy organization is you've got to be able to trust each other. And David Horsager authored an awesome book called The Trust Edge. I just saw him speak recently, and he's got what he calls the 8 pillars of trust. And they're just essential. I mean, just imagine if you can't trust your coworkers, what that's going to do to your performance. You're going to be fearful. You're going to be scared. You're going to not care. So what are Horsager's 8 pillars of trust? Well, the first one is clarity. Our employees, we trust what's clear. We trust clear communication. We don't trust things that are ambiguous. Compassion. Do you care about me? Because if you don't care about me, I don't trust you. If you do care about me and have compassion, I do trust you. Character. Are you stealing stuff? Are you taking office supplies or restaurant supplies or stuff that belongs to the company? Are you taking that and just kind of, and if you said to me, for example, yeah, I mean, they'll never miss it. They owe it to me anyway. Those are issues of character. Competency. Can I trust that you have the skills to get your job done? Commitment. Even when the situation gets tough, are you going to stand in there and help me, or are you going to leave me high and dry? Are you committed? Connection. Hey, we all want to follow and be around our friends. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but do you always give me the cold shoulder? Do you greet me warmly when you get to work, or do you just kind of blow me off? At the end of the day, do you say to me, hey, I'll see you tomorrow, have a great day? Or you just leave and treat me as a dish rag, as if I'm not even there. So connection. Contribution. What are you contributing? Are you making me better? Are you making the company better? Because if you're contributing, like going the extra mile, I'm going to notice that. And I'm going to trust you. And are you consistent? Or are you up and down? Are you high this week, low this week? Is your performance great one week or one day? Is it poor the next week? Hey, I want consistency. I want to be able to know how you're going to act and be able to trust you. Let's talk about accountability. Accountability occurs when we agree. I say, can you get it done? And you say, absolutely. I'll get it done by the end of next week. Okay, I am counting on that. But that accountability only occurs if you and I have communicated very, very clearly and we're both committed to the end result. And really, this is one of the biggest obstacles that prevents health in an organization. Because, for example, and I'll tell on myself here. I used to have employee one-on-ones, and each employee would have a list of assignments, and I would sit down on those one-on-ones. And those assignments were connected to their goals for the year, and so we'd sit down and look at their projects, and it would be like, yeah, I didn't get this done, I didn't get that done. Here's why, et cetera, et cetera. And to my fault, I let things like that go on too long. I didn't say, doggone it, we need to have this done by the end of the month. Or I should have said, okay, forget these other 5 things. Let's just focus on getting this one thing done. That's all I want you to get done for the rest of the month. So maybe I wasn't clear. Maybe the problem was me. Whatever it was, I let it go on too long. And as a result, our goals took a long time to achieve. That happens so much in the American business world. It's incredible. And most performance issues, this was certainly true with me, most performance issues occur because managers don't hold employees accountable for things like I just mentioned. And so why are we so afraid? Why are we so afraid to say to somebody, you told me you were going to get that done. Let's talk about why it's not getting done, and let's set an ultimate deadline and even some consequences if it's not done, or some rewards if it is done. Why are we afraid of that? Well, we are. I think we're afraid to upset each other. We're afraid to confront, but holding each other accountable. Even my employees need to hold me accountable. If I've told them I'm going to get them something that they need for their work, whether it's a new computer or a particular piece of software, whatever it happens to be, and it's been a couple of months or goes longer than the time that I agreed to, the employee should be able to hold me accountable without fear of me, getting back and really demoting them or being unkind in some way. Solution-oriented feedback. So I need to be able to come to you, or you need to be able to come to me, and we need to agree that there's a problem. Something didn't get done when the way it was supposed to get done, or when we thought it was going to get done. And we need to figure out answers to get it done. Okay? Not be afraid of each other. That's where we have to learn to be able to disagree, but in the end result, commit. Even if you don't agree. If I'm your manager and I finally say, I've got the ultimate decision. That's why I'm in the role. If I say, okay, I understand your concerns, but we need to get it done this way, everybody needs to agree and commit to that. So I want to talk about 7 critical questions. Clarity and what's called alignment. There really are 7 things that a company needs to wrap its collective brain around and its actions around. The first one is, and this is going to start with kind of the esoteric, the idea, and come all the way down to, operational type issues. So first of all, why do we exist? What's our overall mission? And then after that, what's our brand promise? What are we committing to our customers? Like I was saying before, how are we changing their lives or making it better? And then within that context, how do we behave? What do we value? What are our core values in our business? Do we value teamwork? Do we value creativity? Do we value small teams? Do we value quick customer feedback? Do we value open communication? What do we value? Core values, and do we act on those? How do we behave as a company? What's acceptable and what's unacceptable? Because that's how our culture forms. So then what do we do within the context of what's the purpose of our company? What's our brand promise? What are our core values? What exactly is it that we do? In the banking industry, exactly what my team did and what I do now at Nehemiah Worldwide is provide analytical and strategic marketing. That's what we do. At the preschool that we had, we educated children and kept them safe during the day. In the real estate business, we buy and sell houses. This is what we do. And so, in what we do, how do we succeed? What makes us successful? How do we measure it? Because a lot of companies are just doing, and they don't know how to measure success. And if you don't know how to measure success, you don't know how to improve. So what makes us succeed? And what's most important right now? Right now. So we might know. Okay. We might know where we want to be, but if there's a crisis occurring or if there's a major opportunity that we need to take advantage of right now, then everybody needs to be focused on that. And so within that, within what's important right now, who's doing what? Because we don't want to have people saying, well, this is what I'm doing. Well, I thought I was supposed to do that. He told me to do that. No. He told me to do that. We don't want confusion. We want clarity on who is doing what role to make us succeed right now. Whether that's the people on the executive team, the middle managers, the department heads, or the employees, we want to know who does what. Great clarity around that. So something called the game plan captures the answers to these 7 questions. And what you do is you make this game plan, and everybody across your organization has it. So they all know what the purpose of the organization is. They all know what the core values are. They all know the brand promise, how we behave, what's important now, who does what. From a company level, but also you can drive it down to the department level. So if I manage the marketing department, or if I manage the video production department, or if I manage the finance department, I can also use those same questions to determine what's most important for my organization right now. So in communicating clarity, people, unless they hear things a couple times, they're kind of skeptical about it. I remember a time when I introduced a new process at the bank. And I was having a meeting, training session, and there was one lady there who was a real star performer. She was doing exceptionally well at the process that I had rolled out. And I said to her, how'd you get so good at this? I mean, you're just awesome. You're smoking at this thing. And she said, well, when it finally got communicated enough, and when I finally figured out that it wasn't the flavor of the month, that it wasn't just going to go away, I decided it was here to stay and I was going to get good at it. And she did. So people need to hear things repeatedly. And the leader has to model the message, right? If I introduce a new process, a new way of doing business, if I want something new done, if I say we're going to have these core values, I need to live them too. I need to be the main one that you can look to and say, that guy's a real example. And so leaders need to model the message because everybody's watching you.